I think, you know, we've added some new wrinkles, especially as we play different opponents. You know, our playbook's going to expand a little bit, and every time you play a new defense, it seems like we have a new scheme or concept, and our offensive coaches are really, you know, good at, you know, saying, hey, this is going to work against this. Let's try putting this in. And we have a lot of great players who, you know, they can use to make that work. So it's definitely adapted.
Nick compared it to a menu at a restaurant, I guess. You know, is it a situation at this point where you can just kind of Dave all can just kind of pick and choose what works, what's not, based on the personnel or based on the personnel?
Exactly. I'd like to think like our players are like some sort of buffet, and like Dave all can just come up and be like, I'll take, you know, some of, you know, Schmitty this week, and I'll take some of Calvin, and you know, maybe I don't want that, and so that's something that is great about having a lot of good players, and that's something that, you know, we've been really fortunate to have, and you know, these players are going to step up whenever they're called.
You and Jalen weren't able to connect on that one deep throw. What did you guys see on the film that maybe could help you improve on that?
Yeah, you know, it was you know, I should have turned my head around a little bit faster, and you know, Jalen could have thrown it then. But if you know, if it wasn't there, then I'm just glad he gave me a shot at it. You know, he was a little off, a little out of bounds, but that's all right. You know, we are still, you know, working on it and fine-tuning. It's a newer play, so it wasn't going to be perfect whenever we ran it. But you know, I'm just glad that we called the number and gave it a shot.
After looking at the film, what were some of the things that the offensive line, the entire blocking group can do better?
You know, there's we played a really good defense, as you guys all know, and with some really good NFL talent across the ball. You know, something that we all need to get better at is just, you know, I think everybody can get better at just their technique. Like, you see a lot that we're probably too high across the board, and everything starts with, you know, your footwork. And if you're too high, then you're probably not going to be able to get a great block, especially when you're playing great players. So I think just kind of going back to the fundamentals and basics, sometimes you can kind of lose sight of that as you go further into the season because, you know, your legs are tired or whatever. So, you know, just we probably need to get better at that. And there's a lot of other things that we can do, but, you know, just those things overall.
Did you guys expect as much 8-man front as they played?
You know, I think we weren't really, you know, exactly sure what they were going to do, just because, you know, they have a great defensive coordinator, and they have great players who can, you know, do anything that they want to put in their situation. So we didn't necessarily say they're going to play, you know, 8-man front all the time. We said they might do it, and if they do it, we'll try to adjust. And you know, they posed some problems for us, but you know, we got a lot of great players and great coaches who are able to, you know, adapt to that and, you know, still get some winning football going.
From the film study you've had at Mississippi State defensively, what do they do that might pose some trouble and problems for you come Saturday?
Right. Well, they have a great defensive coordinator. They're really long, athletic, fast, and they can play multiple sets. You know, you'll see them in an odd, under, over, and they'll do a lot of things in their blitz schemes. So they pose a lot of problems just from, you know, the fact that they're not going to play one thing the entire game. So we're going to have to really figure out, you know, what works against what set, and figure out, you know, who we need to put in situations in order to be successful.
Is it fun game planning with Coach Dable? How
yeah.
different is it from Coach Kiffin?
You know, it's not, you know, incredibly different just because they're both really good coaches who, you know, bring forth a you know, a mindset that, you know, this is how it needs to be done, this is what we're going to do. But, you know, Dable always brings a really fun, you know, aspect to it. Like, for instance, if we got like a couple fastballs in the game or something, he's always like, you know, Jonah, stand up, or Damian, stand up. Like, we're gonna do a little game and like see like if you guys know it yet, and like whoever answers the first wins. So like things like that just make it so much fun. I mean, like, you know, football is a serious sport, obviously, but anytime you can make it, you know, fun, it's great. And I think he does a really good job of that. And you know, at the end of the day, it's just a game, even though it might not seem like that around here. But we all have a really good time, and he does a really good job of implementing that.
What do you get if you answer first?
Oh, you just get to keep going. I mean, maybe, yeah, maybe a little bit of pride or something, but yeah, just the satisfaction knowing that you know it better, a little bit better than the other guy, I guess.
So it's like
you mentioned
a game show.
Yeah, a little game show, like kind of like whoever like buzzes in first, you know, and they give the right answer. Yeah.
It's like Family Feud.
Yeah, like Family Feud. Yeah.
You mentioned the fundamentals earlier. How do you balance working on fundamentals with also every week's a different game plan?
Right. You know, that's just something that we hopefully can drill in early on in the season, like during camp and those first games. Hopefully your fundamentals are good enough that they can carry you throughout the entire season. And a lot of times you just lose sight of it. Like that's just part of football. And as you get tired and sore, sometimes you don't want to do those things. But that's something that Coach Saban really preaches on about us, is that I don't care if you guys are tired or sore. Everybody's sore at this time. Every football player in America is tired. So we just got to keep pushing and getting better, and use those fundamentals that we worked on early on, and to really become better football players.
David said that he threw a lot of stuff at you, like in the fall. Like, how much stuff were you kind of practicing in the first few weeks that you really didn't run,
right,
to get the idea that maybe you were going to run this at some point later in the season?
Right. Well, that's something that was really great about having him as a coach, is that he's got so many different things and plays and niches and stuff that he can put in, and we put a lot of that stuff in the beginning, like you said. And that way, we can just take like the menu you said, we can just take something and say, we want to try this week. And since we put it in, like, you might not remember it, but it's still in the back of your mind, and we just refresh it. And that's, something that is really valuable for us, because we'll always have that ability to go back to any play that we previously worked on.
Did you sense that he was building towards that, like, it seems like you guys are throwing over the middle a little bit more, using a little bit more play action to kind of open up the middle against these 8-man fronts. Did you get the sense that he was kind of working towards that?
Yeah, just that thing that he's always going to have that ability to do that, because we worked on it early on. And you say, okay, maybe we're not going to do it in week 1 or 2, but he's like, we ran this play, we ran it a lot in camp. So if we play something where an 8-man front where the middle is open, like, I can go back to this. And so that's something we definitely got a sense of, because he does a really good job of saying, hey guys, like, it's really important to know all of your plays, because we can always come back to them.
Against that 3-4, what's the process when you get to the line for trying to figure out where that fourth rusher is coming from?
Right, well, it all starts with the mic point. A lot of times people play like a 3-4, but it's really not, because the nose guard will be like shaded a certain way, so he could be counted as 4 down. A lot of it depends on what Bozeman mics and what he calls, whether it's a 4 down or a 3 down. And then the other part just comes from communicating down the line, like what pass protection we're going to do, or whether it's a run. And the problem with the 3-4 is they can bring it from pretty much everywhere, like you guys know. So a lot of it's just IDing it and getting familiar with watching the film, and seeing what kind of blitzes they like to bring.
Is it ever more difficult being kind of on the end of the line there, and especially with how loud it can get in the cowbells?
Absolutely. That's something that us tight ends are kind of used to. I guess you never really get used to it, because of it's different every week, but that just goes to show how great our tackles and our guards and centers are at communicating, because I'll be kind of looking down the line, and if I don't hear anything, Lester will hear something, and I'll tell Matt, and then Matt will tell me. So it'll all work out in the end, but that's just goes to show how great we do at communicating, and hopefully we can keep that up.
Thanks, Hale.